Tobias Molina did not disappoint with that presentation. Thank you all very much. When we were planning this session, which we titled, "If It's Not Your Money, It's a Crime, Protecting Vulnerable Adults is Everyone's Business," we were very specific in trying to reach out to the critical partners that we all work with. And one of the partners that came to the top of the list was law enforcement. I think in many small communities like Kerrville, or even my hometown, law enforcement officials have a very special place in our hearts. They're public servants, they serve, and they put that passion above all else that they do in the efforts to protect our community, from children all the way to seniors. And we're very fortunate today to have one of Kerrville's finest, and I say that deep down Kerrville's finest because Paul Gonzales is from Kerrville. He went to Tyree. He's a lifelong resident and supports his community to the best of his ability in his role as a law enforcement officer here. He's very involved in the community. His wife and his 2 children live here. And as humble as he is, he didn't want us to go on and on and on about him. He was very specific in wanting to present to you his information in his session, which is entitled Seniors in Crime Prevention. So please join me in welcoming Officer Paul Gonzales.
Good morning, everyone. Can y'all hear me? Yes. Wonderful. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Wonderful. So everybody's awake. All right, great. Now we got some coffee back here. It's freshly brewed. Well, thank you so much. I want a special thanks to the Texas Adult Protective Services for calling me and inviting me here for today to present to you. I also understand that AACOG Dietert Center for allowing us to do the presentation, the Better Business Bureau, and the UTHSCSA Center. I mean, it's great coming together as partnerships and bringing this information to you, okay? And the reason being is that we want you to not be a victim. That's the bottom line. How many of you have to be here? Raise your hands. Wow, you're smart not to raise your hands. All right, well, thank you so much. I just started a couple of weeks ago, so please bear with me. I don't know much information about this. I was told to be here. Just kidding. What I presently do is I'm community service. That is a big title, and it covers many different things. But one of the things I deal with and I work with on a daily basis is crime prevention. Going out to the community, giving presentations on various topics on preventing crime and how you can prevent being a victim of crime. And the other side of the spectrum is that I also deal with the media on a daily basis. So if you read the newspaper, you say, Paul Gonzales said this and Paul Gonzales said that. Well, I wasn't there at the scene. I'm just reading the report and telling the media what it's about. So a lot of people say, man, Paul, how do you do it? Working in the daytime and then you're working at night arresting people? No. I just share the information with the media. So that's the other side of the spectrum of what I do. It's not often that I'm asked to come to give a presentation on pepper spray demonstration. So do I have a volunteer from the audience? Don't all get up at the same time. I brought a freshly filled can of pepper spray, and I would like to do as seniors, you know, it's very important to know how to pepper spray people. That way you just trust nobody to spray everybody. Okay? No takers. You know, I never can get anybody to jump up and say, yeah, I'll do it. We're not going to talk about pepper spray. Okay, we are going to talk today about seniors and crime prevention. And if I had it my way, I would say, trust nobody. Trust nobody. Think like a police officer. We trust nobody. You know, sometimes when you're in law enforcement for so long, that's just the attitude. You just trust nobody. Because as law enforcement officers, we deal with the negative side of society all the time. I mean, how often do we get a call from someone saying, hey, come over and pick up a dozen of cookies from my house and come home? Not often, okay? All the time we get calls for drunkenness, fights in progress, domestic violence, child abuse, the major collision where someone just died in a collision. It's all negative. And then we're supposed to go home, turn the switch, and now live productive lives in society and just not know that everything is, how our day went. So we sometimes have the mentality that we trust nobody because, in essence, that's kind of what we deal with. We deal with the negative side of society. So, not to say that none of y'all are the negative side of society, but that's just how it goes. What button do I press?
The little round one in the center,
Okay.
it's now pointed right at the projector.
There you go. All right, so the goal of this presentation is to examine, and also just listening from Ms. Tobias Molina's presentation, and then you also have a presentation with Ms. Dean Taylor. A lot of this information kind of piggybacks with one another, but a lot of it's going to probably be slightly different. So bear with us, okay? Because overall, by the time you get this entire presentation, you're going to be able to put the puzzle together with all the different pieces of information that you receive, okay? So the goal of this presentation is to examine the various types of crimes against seniors. Okay, I don't see any seniors here, but it's to basically get ready for when you become a senior. And to look at what preventative measures can be taken to prevent them. Objectives is we're going to review current data, future projections. We're also going to review demographics, learn how the seniors feel about crime, and examine the major crimes against seniors, including financial crimes, property crimes, violent crimes, and elder abuse. And of course, learn what preventative measures seniors can take to stay safe. I get phone call after phone call after phone call. I understand that as a senior, sometimes you live alone, you get lonely, you are seeking for someone to talk to, a friendship, and when you get that phone call, and you hear this friendly voice on the other side, someone trying to sell you something, or you just got through winning some kind of a prize, you're like, finally my days come true, my dreams come true, I finally won something after all these years of playing Publishers Clearinghouse or whatever it is, and this guy or this gal is so friendly on the other end, and so it's got to be true. I get phone call after phone call after phone call. We take reports on a daily basis of seniors being victimized by scam artists. Okay? And I get these phone calls, and they're like, I had no clue that this was a scam. I'm like, how could you not have a clue? If it's too good to be true, it's probably, fake. So we got to always be aware of those things. But because of the generation that we were raised in, okay, is to trust everyone, correct? You were raised in the generation we trusted everyone. We leave our doors unlocked. We leave our windows open because it's not going to happen to me. It's not that way anymore. And if you still live in that little bubble that you think it'll never happen to me, guess what? I'll be the bad guy that bursts that bubble and say, it's going to happen to you, and it's just a matter of time of when it's going to happen. So be ready. Be ready. Yeah, you've spent all these years saving up your money, but guess what? All it takes is one mess up by you, and all your savings is down the drain. And I hate to be blunt, but I want you to think about that. And I want you to absorb that information. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. So be very aware, recognize that if you get a phone call and you don't know who this person is on the other end, hang up. I know you may be lonely. I know you may want to converse for 2 hours on the phone. I try to call my grandmother all the time. Beep, 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 your phone's busy. Sometimes I have to call the operator. Can you break the line and make sure that she either didn't leave the phone disconnected or there's a medical problem? I need to go to your house. She's on the phone for 2 hours. How can anybody talk to somebody for 2 hours? So bottom line is, if it's someone you do not know on the other end, hang up. But this person was so friendly, they asked all these questions. Bottom line is hang up. The one that should be asking the question should be who? You, exactly. Who's calling? What's your phone number? Where are you calling from? What's the address? What's this business about? You ask all the questions. By the time you get to the fifth question, guess what? Guess who's hanging up? They've hung up. Okay? But if you allow to be asked all these questions, guess what? Now they have all the information they need, or they're starting to get all the information they need. Okay, so seniors today are a large demographic group, especially where? Kerrville? Yeah, 60–70% of the population in Kerrville is seniors or retired. Okay, so we're living in a gold mine for scam artists or for people that want to victimize senior adults. Why? Because each one of you are sitting on a gold mine. They're not going to come after me that lives paycheck to paycheck and has to work off duty, okay? They're going to come after you because why? You have invested all these years. You have worked very hard, okay? Some of you may have even inherited, sums of money from your family. And so how easy of a target? Okay? I want to be able to go in there, get whatever I need, and move out. Okay? An estimated 37 million Americans are 65 years and older. That's almost 1 in 10 Americans. And of course, this group constitutes 12% of the population. Persons 85 years old or older, an estimated 5 million Americans fall into this age group. This group accounts for 2% of the U.S. population. And persons 85 years or older are the fastest growing segment of seniors. Okay. What's the population of Kerrville? 22,000, 23,000? That's at nighttime, people. During the daytime, we're 60,000 population. And then you wonder, where does all this traffic come from? Guess what? They come from Fredericksburg. They come from Comfort, Centerpoint, Ingram, Hunt, Bandera, Junction. All these people from the surrounding communities come to Kerrville to do what? To work, to see their doctors, to go shopping, to go eat. Okay? So during the daytime, that's where all the traffic comes from. Okay? So let's just say 22,000. How many are in here now? Okay? And what did I say? 60% of people who live in Kerrville are seniors or retired. This room should be packed full of people that want to learn how to protect their money. Okay? So, just to kind of give you an idea of what we face and what APS faces, is that sometimes people don't report things until it's too late because they don't take any preventative measures to learn, to be proactive. We don't want to be reactive, we want to be proactive. And I thank you for being here because you want to be proactive on how I can plan to protect myself when that day comes, that I can't make decisions, that I can't do the things that I used to do, because that day's coming. I'm feeling it. Okay? So, I thank you for being here.
Okay, but before we get mad at all of us over the senior citizens, know that 3 hours is an extremely long time. That's just it.
Well, let me tell you, what's going to be extremely uncomfortable is dealing with years of trying to get your monies back,
I'm
or...
just telling you why they're not here.
Yeah, well,
It's too long.
unfortunately, we can't. I mean, we can go to their houses one by one, but that's why these programs are offered, is to try to get people in, at least listen for an hour or two. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So in Americans 65 years old or older are fast-growing demographic groups. Of course, in 2011, the baby boom generation will begin to turn 65. And in 2030, it's an estimate that there will be 72 million seniors. This is equivalent to 1 in 5 Americans. So it's growing, it's growing, it's growing. Okay. More seniors are non-English, language dominating, okay? We're seeing a lot of the demographics in the Kerrville area that a lot of our seniors are non-English speaking, Okay? There's a lot of different variety of generations, and then we also have different ethnicity groups in the Kerrville area. I've known people who lived in the Kerrville area that are American citizens, they just choose not to learn English, and that's all they do is speak Spanish. So there's that education or that lack of knowledge that we have to sometimes break those barriers. Older populations are more diverse linguistically. A large percentage are non-native English speakers. So we have to deal with that also. You know, state agencies, law enforcement agencies, we have to deal with that. Seniors will live longer. Okay? Eventual declines in cognitive and physical functions could make them more vulnerable to victimization. Okay? So as you start slowing down and you stop being as active, I can't cut my grass anymore, so now I have to hire somebody to come cut my grass. Or now I can't go shopping for my groceries, now I have to hire someone to take me. Or those are the things that you have to start preparing and start planning for. When that day comes, do I have a plan? Okay? Because the people that you may be hiring are the ones that are going to be victimizing you. Okay? So we have to be very careful about that. You become more or less in touch with the innovations and less aware of their vulnerabilities. So, you know, you start not able to drive, you're not able to go outside your house, you now become hostage in your own home. And you depend on others to provide services to you. And sometimes that's where you're going to start seeing some of those issues. So I would start planning and start figuring out, okay, if this happens, who do I call? Okay, is it a reputable company that can provide me this service? Okay, even though there's reputable companies in town, doesn't mean the employees are reputable. Okay, just because it's a licensed healthcare facility doesn't mean that the employees that they hire are screened very well. So sometimes you have to do your own homework and find out who's going to be in my home. Have you done proper screening? Have you checked criminal histories? Okay? I'd like to know who's going to be in my home ahead of time so I can do my own research. Give me a call. I'll be happy to come over and say, yeah, we've dealt with this person before. No, we haven't dealt with this person before. Oh, by the way, this person's got a clean record, but they live with a felon. Okay? And because of that, this felon has been convicted for controlled substance or possession of controlled substance. So those are some of the things that sometimes we see is that, you know, the people you have in your home are the ones that you have to be very careful, even though you know that this is a licensed facility and everything's taken care of from what they're telling you. You have to sometimes do your own research. Okay?
Excuse me, Paul.
Yes.
I want to ensure that I understand what you just said. If I have somebody, if I hire someone and should know I can call, that's good. That's good to know. Your office.
The question is, if she hires somebody, can she call the Kerrville Police Department for us to give her some information? We may not be able to give you the entire criminal history, but we can say, yeah, this person, you know, based on what we've seen in their record, would be a good person or a bad person. Okay? Huh?
Or they may have no record.
Correct. Now, there are some public websites that you can go to, and that is, for example, the Kerr County website for the courthouse. Okay? If you have internet, you go to Kerr County, and you can go in there, and you can literally get a lot of information on there. You can look up family cases, you can look up criminal cases, and you can even look up jail records. And it's all listed on that Kerr County website. When you look it on there, for example, under the jail and bond records, okay, you can click on that and just put a last name and a first name, as long as you spell it correctly. And it'll tell you if this person's ever been arrested in Kerr County alone. It'll show their picture, it'll show their address, it'll show their driver's license number, it'll show all the arrests that they've been handled for. Now, if you go on to the family side of it, you can type up under the family side, you can type in the case number or even enter a person's name. Okay, it'll tell you if this person's ever been married in Kerrville, if they've ever been divorced, if they've, anything to do with a civil or family case law, it'll be listed on there. It's just another good resource to be able to obtain that information. And that's where we would start. We would start by using those public websites by getting that information for you. Just kerrcounty.com or .gov or something. Just type in Kerr County. Okay, fear of crime. 2/3 of seniors believe they will inevitably be victims. So we all know that a lot of seniors know that they're just going to be victimized. Well, I know that I'm going to be a victim because I'm just easy prey. Okay? Especially female seniors. They feel like, well, if I go and get my vehicle repaired, they see a female, they see a senior, immediately they're going to raise the prices up and charge me more. Okay? Many seniors alter their lifestyle because they fear being victimized. I mean, my grandma, at 5 o'clock, she locks all her doors up and windows and everything else, and she's got her shotgun ready, so on and so forth. I mean, but because what happens? They sit behind their TV and they watch the news all the time, right? And it's like every day, it's like San Antonio, someone got shot, someone this, and someone that. And as a senior, it's like when you hear all this information, you're like, it's just a matter of time. They're going to come through my door. Sometimes when I knock, I have to knock away from the front of the door because he doesn't think I'm prowling. But that's what happens is when you sit behind a TV and you watch, the local news or, the nation news, you see all this negative stuff, and you're like, you alter your lifestyles. Almost half of those age 75 or older are afraid to leave their homes after dark. I hear that all the time. I have a Citizens Police Academy. I do 2 a year, and half of the seniors won't attend because it ends at 9 o'clock after dark. Plus, it probably past your bedtime, but still. 1/3 of seniors say fear of crime has contributed to a sense of loneliness and isolation. Well, yeah. Lock yourself up in the house at 5 o'clock, and I can see why. Okay? A lot of that can be changed by having good neighbors, okay? By having people, some kind of a networking system, where on a daily basis you are involved with the people you trust, okay? Older Americans demonstrate a higher rate of fear of crime other than any other age group, despite having the lowest victimization rates. Knowledge of their vulnerabilities and reduced self-defense capacities make them more cautious. Yes, ma'am.
Isn't that a good thing if you're over 75 and you have a flat tire at 9:30 at night? I mean, it just,
Yes,
it's not
ma'am.
that you're running around filled with fear, but, I don't know how to change a flat tire.
That's when you pick up the phone and you do what?
That's if you have a
If you have a phone, you dial 911, right? If you don't have a phone, you do what? Turn on your hazard lights, maybe wave somebody down, or if somebody stops, say, don't get out of your car, lower your window, can you call the police? Okay, but it's, I can't say that there's a guarantee that if you get out of that car, the person that stops is going to truly help you or victimize you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense staying in the car too if they showed on it.
So other reasons why crime prevention is important to seniors. Potential recovery from physical or financial injury is often limited. Loss of money or physical faculties have more severe effects than any other age group, and media frequently portrays the elderly as victims or at least as being vulnerable. Does that make sense? Are y'all with me? Okay, I'm just kind of going through this briefly, okay? It's a lot of information, but I'm just trying to get the highlights here, okay? Okay, most common types of crimes that we see is financial crimes, property crimes, elder crime, violent crimes, and elder abuse. These are really the top 4 that we see on a daily basis crimes is what we see most of. Like you said, it's the scams. We had a case where it was at a nursing home, and most of seniors are raised in a generation that they don't really believe in banks. What do? They store their money in safes. Okay? And then what's what? God, you know, I'm getting so old I can't remember that combination. Leave the door alone. Okay? Caregiver comes in, you know, or a relative of the caregiver, and guess what? Helps themselves to several thousands of dollars. But because of the relationship that the victim has with the caregiver, doesn't want to press charges. But then calls us, but doesn't want to press charges. I just want my money back. Our hands are tied. Our hands are tied. First of all, we're not a collection agency. You either press charges or you don't call us. And I hate to be blunt about that, but you either press charges or you don't call us. Because the fact that you don't press the charges, guess what? You're pawning this suspect or this perpetrator onto the next victim. And if we don't stop this person from doing what they're doing, guess what? Your neighbor's now going to get victimized. Or the person next to them is going to get victimized. So you got to take action. But I'm afraid of retaliation, or I don't want to get involved. Why do you live in Kerrville? Can you tell me why you live in Kerrville? Why do you live in Kerrville? Anybody? It feels safe. What else?
It's so beautiful.
It's so beautiful. What else? It's warm. We live in Kerrville because of all the things that Kerrville provides us, correct? But there's only 53 police officers in the city limits of Kerrville. We cannot do it alone. We have to have each and every one of you participate and invest in this community. So if you see something wrong or you see a crime taking place, do something about it. Don't ignore it, because the minute you ignore it and the minute you just put your blinders on and don't say nothing, guess what? This Kerrville no longer becomes safe. Okay? It no longer feels warm because now it's a sense of coldness because it's just a bad place to live. It's no longer beautiful because we have graffiti all over our walls and we have buildings demolished and it just now looks like a war zone. Does that make sense? We have to have each and every one of you involved. Okay? Don't be afraid. Take a stance and stand up for yourself and stand up for what you believe is right, is all we ask. Okay? If someone steals $10,000 from you, that's not right. Okay? They should know better. Well, but I'm friends. You know what? That friendship was over with the minute that trust was broken. How much time do we have? I'm trying to rush. 20 minutes. All right, so financial crimes. These crimes include fraud, scams, identity theft. Okay? And, of course, healthcare fraud. So fraud, scams, identity theft, I mean, I can break them down. I think everybody has an understanding of what fraud means. Right? Like scams. We get those phone calls, we get those letters in the mail from Jamaica or Nigeria or from whatever, or it could even be from within the United States. Don't trust them. Okay? Don't trust them. I know a lady right now that gets, I'm not kidding, she'll get a stack about this thick on a daily basis of a combination of scam letters and just nonprofit organizations wanting money. And on a daily basis, she has to screen these. It takes her hours. She has to screen these. And then she'll respond to some of them, some she doesn't. When she doesn't respond, she'll just throw it in the trash. Okay? So I went over there and I sat down with her for a couple hours, trying to give her some guidance and trying to give her some recommendations. I said, look, on the ones you want to help out, you know, I mean, bless your heart. I mean, you know, that there's people out there that still want to help nonprofit organizations, you know, with today's recession in the economy. But I said, the other ones, you got to be very careful not to just throw them in the trash. You need to shred them. Well, that takes time. Well, I understand that, but you know, if I drive down your street and I pick up your trash from your curb, did I do something wrong? If I pick up the trash on the curb, did I commit a crime? No. Now, if I start using the information in the trash to obtain your identity for personal gain, then yes, I've committed a crime. But the fact that I drove by your neighborhood and in the back of my pickup, I just threw all the trash bags. I get home, I put on the latex gloves, and I start digging through there. I'll find out everything I ever needed about you in that trash can. Okay? I can guarantee that someone in this room takes medication. I wish my odds were as good in mulatto or makeup. Someone in this room takes medication. We'll find medicine bottles with all the labels still attached to them. Guess what I can get off those medication bottles? Your doctor's name, your pharmacy, the RX, the prescription medication number, the type of medication you use, how many refills you have. Okay? I know for HEB, all I have to do is what? If I want a refill, I call the number, I give that RX number, right? And then it'll ask for my phone number, correct? They'll match that phone number with that prescription number and say, okay, we found a prescription, pickup time, and so on and so forth. Okay? So, I know it's inconvenient for each and every one of you because I know you live busy lives, being retired. Take the time, people, take the time to shred these things that go in your trash and make sure you protect your information. Don't just throw it in there thinking, oh, no one will find it, because they will. We have cases in Kerrville that people are going around picking up people's trash. And they're stealing your identity by simply doing that. But it takes 2 hours to shred. You know what? You're fine. Don't shred it. Become a victim. Let all your money get stolen. Okay? You know, and then years of trying to clean that up.
I have a question.
Yes?
How far do we go with this shredding? For instance, we all know that it has our social security number, anything on it shredded. But for instance, magazines.
Just rip the pages that have your information on it. Don't stick on the entire
It's just
magazine.
my name and my address, I shred it anyway.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So on a magazine, for example, usually the back page or the front page has the sheet that has your name on it. Just rip that off and shred it. Don't stick the entire magazine. You'll be buying shredders every week. Okay? But just go through that. Same thing with
Well, I'm thinking in the phone book, my name and address is there, so why am I ripping up all my name and address on the least little thing?
It's just another preventative tool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay? Because I think the more you get into a habit of it, the more you're just going to do it. Credit card applications, you get those in the mail, correct? Shred those.
For sure.
The entirety of it. Okay? Because all I have to do is pick up the credit card application out of your trash. Okay, here's the credit card application. Okay, now let me see what other information so I can fill out every slot on there. Okay? So everything you can shred that has your information on it, the better off. Yes, ma'am.
What about address labels? They stick with the shredder. Can you recycle them?
I shred everything. I recommend shredding everything. Whether they get stuck, if not, throw them in your fireplace, wait for Christmas, and start with a fire. Okay? Because I take your address label, you know, I use it on something and send it off, and now people think it came from you. Okay? Financial criminals generally seek to take cash, credit rating, and other assets by deception. These are very capable criminals. Many have excellent people skills and are talented with computers and similar crime. You know, these are, you know, fishy salespeople. You know, they're con artists. You know, these are people that have been in prison. They've They've learned these tactics. So you got to be very careful. Robbery involves a confrontation and a threat of use of force by financial crimes often involve people who are pleasant and seemingly helpless. So if I come up to you and steal your purse, that's a robbery. Okay? And either you fall or I threaten you while I'm doing this, I've committed a robbery. Okay? Now, if you leave your purse on the shopping cart at H-E-B or Walmart, okay, we get those every day. Okay? Every day we get it. Someone left their purse in the shopping cart. Put those purses around you, ladies, or just take the wallet, put it in your pocket, and I'll take the entire brick with you. But just put it around you, okay? Don't set it on the shopping cart, okay? Because there are people in these stores, they're not shopping, they're literally walking from aisle to aisle, acting like they're shopping, but they're looking for purses that are unattended, and they're reaching in. You got it on video. They're reaching in, and they're taking wallets, and they're taking everything they can get their hands on. Okay? So, that's a theft. If it's left there for someone to take, that's a theft. So, why are seniors targets of financial crimes? Okay? The seniors often have accumulated resources. Many own their homes. Okay? You also have insurance. You have pension plans. You have savings stocks. You have bonds. Similar assets that may not always be closely monitored. Does that make sense? So you're vulnerable based on your lifestyle. Okay? Many are accessible by telephone. Like you stated, my name's in the phone book. Okay? People call me and say, how do they get my name and number? Are you listed in the phone book? Yes. Did you know that your phone company sells your information to other people? No, they do. They do. I'm listed as a private person. Okay, I'm not in the phone book. I'm unlisted. Don't ask me why, but just to be unlisted, you got to pay $3.50. You're not spending any ink on it. So I got to pay $3.50 to be unlisted, and then if I don't want my phone number to go out to be private, I got to pay extra. Okay, fine. I'll pay the extra because that's what I want. Well, one day, 1 year, Windstream printed my name in the phone book, and I found it in there. Well, then the other phone book company, okay, not connected to Windstream, they listed my name. So I contacted both. Well, Windstream had sold the information to the other phone company, other phone book. So that's how they profit too.
Did you get your money back?
Yeah. So they're accessible by telephone, by mail. You have time to listen. Why? Because you're retired. You are too polite. You're too polite to hang up. Keep assets readily available. Have limited experience with investments and no longer perform home repairs, and are deeply concerned with maintaining finances to last them through their lives. Many people, seniors, are isolated by their disability, fear of violence in the community, lack of peer friendships, or lack of transportation. I mean, that's a given. I mean, that's going on. Many are trusting, or complacent, or forgetful of details, and many are embarrassed to admit they are victims. I know I personally have friends that have become victims. They don't want to say nothing because they're embarrassed. Fraud involves deceit in the commission of a financial crime. Those who commit fraud offer prizes, deals, opportunities, and bargains. Like I said, if it's too good to be true, stay away from it. There's many forms of fraud, include home repairs. You see those all the time, especially the gypsies. They come into town off I-10. They need some travel money. They'll drive up and down streets. They're, this driveway looks like it needs repair, or that roof looks like it needs repair. They'll come knocking on your door. We saw some cracks in your driveway. It looks like it needs some repairs. We've got this promotion going on right now, today only. 50% off, and you're like, you know what, maybe this is a good opportunity. Don't bite into it. Don't become the fish that's hooking onto that hook. Older people are major targets. We already covered the statistics. Okay, stealth. Why is it considered stealth? Because if I come up to you and steal your purse and hurt you, that's a robbery, right? If I buy your purse on the shopping cart, at some point you're going to know it. But if I steal your information and I either obtain a credit card under your name or I withdraw monies without you knowing about it, that's how it's stealth. Because by the time you find out about it, 30 days have gone by, especially if you don't keep track of your accounts, your statements. You need to do that. You need to review your bank statements, your credit card statements. Okay? You need to become very good friends with your banking facility, your bankers, your tellers. Be really good friends with them. Find out what's done. If you see something unusual in my account or somebody coming in here with one of my checks, give me a call. Okay? A lot of the banks in Kerrville are really alert on those things, but you have to make them aware of it. So be very careful, because this is how it becomes stealth. And of course, they're unusually difficult to detect unless the victim monitors their accounts. Identity theft, which you're going to go through here shortly, but the bottom line is, don't give out any personal information over the phone. Don't give out any personal information to people you don't trust. And then lastly is shred everything that you throw away in that trash. Okay? That's how we see a lot of people get their identity stolen. Shred everything, discard everything that has your information. We covered this already. Social Security cards, numbers, bank accounts. Okay, so to the police. If you notice any unauthorized transactions on your bank accounts or your credit card accounts, immediately contact the bank, immediately contact the credit card company, make them aware of it, and then contact the police department or the sheriff's office if you live outside the city limits, and file a report on it. Typically, your bank and your credit card agency will ask for that case number from that law enforcement agency. And once that case number is submitted to them, then these banks and credit card companies typically will return that money back to you, and then they'll continue the investigation. It's not a guarantee, but that's typically what will happen. Okay? They'll conduct their investigations. Now, but it means that you have to monitor those things carefully. Okay? All the charges, everything that's in your bank accounts, make sure you monitor them. Also, the other thing is, I would highly recommend that you check your credit history at least every 6 months through the three major credit reporting. This is the Bible right here when it comes to identity theft. I know it says here what to do if your identity is stolen, but if you go through this book, it'll also give you prevention tools on how to prevent your identity from being stolen. It's all in this book. The three major credit reporting agencies are listed on here, their phone numbers, their web addresses, everything is in this book. It also gives you complaint affidavits. It gives you everything that you would need is in this book. Take some time and read it just to give you some valuable information. Yes?
What should we do with our prescription bottles? Where do we take them?
Throw them away in the trash.
Then you got to
Prescription bottles, what do we do with them? Throw them away in the trash, but before you throw them away in the trash, get a knife and scrape off that label. Okay? Scrape off that label, or get a permanent marker and go through it. Okay? Or get a lighter and burn it. Find a way to remove it. And if Yeah. What is she saying is that once every 6 months, we have what we call the Operation Drug Take Back. We have it this coming Saturday. If you have any unused, expired medication or any medication that you need to clean your medicine cabinets up, you bring it to us on Saturday, this coming Saturday, between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m., and we'll dispose of that, okay? But that's once every 6 months. Okay, and then a lot of people are like, well, it's on a Saturday, I have plans. And then they bring it on Monday to us, and they bring it on Friday, because it's not convenient. People, guess what? Security is not convenient. Security is not convenient.
I have something I never heard of that happened recently. A friend of mine had put his credit card payment in a drop box. And it was not a post office box. It was at an apartment complex. And they were stolen from that box. And he called the police. He said, but I dropped it in here. The policeman showed him exactly how easy it was to get that away. So I never heard of such a thing. But that's something that might be
Sure.
remembered.
Right. I think I'm running out of time, so I thank you so much for listening to me. The information is in that book. The stuff that was given to you is in there. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer your questions in the back of the classroom. If you have anything further than that, feel free to give me a call at the police department. Also, if you decide that you want to come talk to me in person, please call and set up an appointment with me. I get so many unannounced visitors that come to the police department. My schedule is, I'm booked from day in, day out. And so to give you that time, call me, set up a time that we can talk, whether it be an hour, 2 hours, whatever you feel comfortable with, and then we can take care of these things on a one-on-one basis. I'll be happy to help you, get your lives. The bottom line is, and I don't want you to think this way, but you almost have to think, trust nobody kind of thing. But start figuring out who it is that you're going to trust. This is the biggest word, trust. Okay? Because sometimes you can't even trust your own family members. Okay? Find out who it is that you're going to trust when you get to that point to be your power of attorney. I would be very careful, I repeat this, not to use a power of attorney that's connected to your own financial institution. Because that's what you call, what? A conflict of interest. Okay? If this financial person that manages your financial assets is now your power of attorney, there's a conflict of interest there. So be very careful about that. Okay? So start figuring out who it is that you want to assign as a power of attorney. Maybe even do some testing. Test their trust. Test them to make sure that they're going to do a good job for you. And make sure you get everything in order. Make sure you get your will. Make sure you get everything in order. Because we see this every day. We go into people's homes and they have passed away in their homes. Nobody knew they passed away. They didn't get none of their legal matters squared away. Guess where all this goes to? The state of Texas. Thank you for your donation. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you very much. You guys have a valuable resource right here in Kerrville. So it sounds like he's open to visit with you. So Officer Gonzales, thank you very much once again. Before we get to the break, I just want to introduce one of our other partners that is allowing us to have the opportunity to get CEUs today. So Mr. Joe Zapata just wants to give you a little brief information.
I'll be further quick so you guys can go ahead and where you can get a conservation. My name is Joseph Banta, along with Mark Johnson, who's doing videotaping today within the University Health Science Center in San Antonio. And we're here to provide you any credits if you so deem that you want to receive from us at a free charge or a low cost. By doing that, in return, we ask for you to definitely fill in the consumer profile and the second attendance form if you are indeed wanting a certificate of attendance, or you're a social worker or a licensed professional counselor wanting credits for today's session. And we're also asking for you to fill out a personal profile. Now, this is kind of going to piggyback on your information. What we do, this is a federal form that is not shared by anybody, and it only goes to the government for funding to provide us grants, to provide you free training, free education. And people in the past have filled this information to provide you free training for today, and hopefully in the future you can fill this out and we'll provide others free training in the future again. This is a demographic profile, completely voluntary. You can fill in as much information as you're comfortable with. And to give you more reassurance, this information goes straight to the government and is used for educational purposes only. And all information is shredded, burnt, and cremated and spread over the Alamo, never to be seen again. So this is a one-time thing. Again, if you want to fill out anything, you don't have to fill out anything, but the more you fill out, the more money that we get and we can provide to future community members to provide them information. So if you have any questions about continuing education or the demographic profile, to me, we have for the rest of the day. And again, thank you so much, Officer Gonzales. It was a great presentation, very informative. Thank you.
Yes, Joe is a valued partner of Alamo Area Agency on Aging and the Aging Network in Texas. So I would, if you can, please fill out that information. It does help with funding. Tina and the Dietert Senior Center have put out some delicious looking cookies. So take a